And welcome, everybody, to a very special episode of the Marvelite podcast. This is our very first non-denominational holiday special, and we have a lot to unpack today. But before we get started, my name is Luke, your host this week, and I am joined with Nicholas.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be back. Finally. It's been, 6 months?
Yeah, it's been a while. And we have William.
We survived.
we did. We survived the snap.
Yeah, that snap kind of took out Super Friends though.
And returning, guys, we have Failwell34, aka Mikey.
What a dooski, everyone. Glad to be back on the Marvelite podcast. I miss talking all things Marvel with y'all, so I'm looking forward to it. I thought I actually was a part of the decimation, but turns out it was just the ashiness on my hands. So
Annihilation.
And finally, everybody, we have a new guest on the show, Aaron Alexander. Say hi.
What's up, everybody? Hello. This is my first time here. I'm excited to be here to talk about some comics. Yep.
Oh, God. So, guys, we have a lot to unpack on this episode. So much has happened just in the last few months. Oh, my God.
We got to do a 6-month recap on this one.
Last time on the Marvelite.
Yeah, you can just do a supercut of all the things that happened, like Daredevil getting canceled and Venom existing and being successful somehow.
Sony actually making money off of Venom? Wow, our old podcast, we trashed that, though.
This is such a weird timeline where Venom did so much better than it ever should have.
I don't want to live in this timeline. That's a scary thing, man.
Yeah, the timeline where Dark Phoenix is happening, and then we can't use Defenders for a couple years. Time to bring back the shitty segues.
Speaking of Dark Phoenix, Simon Kinberg recently said, what did he say, Nick? He said something ridiculous.
Yeah, he said Dark Phoenix is going to usher in a new chapter of X-Men films.
But it's going to be a short chapter because it starts with Dark Phoenix and ends with New Mutants.
So let me get this straight real quick. Okay, They originally were shooting the film, right, to set up a new chapter of the X-Men, and then they had to go back and do 3 months worth of reshoots, and they had to invest 11 or $12 million, right? Because apparently Simon Kinberg had no clue or just gave absolute zero Fs about Disney and Marvel buying Fox.
Didn't he say in an interview, he's like, we forgot to film the ending or something? We went back and we're like, wait, what?
Yeah, something like that. And my question is, have they started screen testing? And if so, I wonder what people think.
Did they start screen tests earlier in the year?
Yeah, they tested the early one way months ago, but I don't know.
Yeah, the first cut.
That was before he had a final act.
Didn't he say the tone of this? Didn't he say the tone of this one is supposed to be more in line with Logan, like the Logan of the X-Men movie?
Oh God!
I did see that somewhere. I forgot the trailer happened too. We saw it, and it was a month ago. It wasn't that long ago.
More than a month ago.
He also said that Josh Trank was the guy to direct Fantastic Four. So anything that come out of Simon's mouth, I really just can't believe or take seriously.
To be fair, there was a lot of intervention from the studio, but he tranked it up.
No, he was the studio, though. That's the problem, is that Kinberg would be on set early in the morning before anyone else was there, him and a small team, and they were just changing shit around. And then Trank would come on set and be like, what are you doing? You're changing colors, you're doing this and that to the set, what are you doing? Without his knowledge.
Yeah.
He was the studio interfering, so I don't trust the man, honestly, and I definitely don't trust him with these characters. I mean, you even look at what Jennifer Lawrence has said. She's like, I effed myself.
Oh, no, because we talked about that, too, where she said, I'm not going to do another one unless Kinberg is directing. Well, guess what happened? Kinberg's like, fine, I'll do it myself.
So I guess what I want to ask the audience is, what do you guys think is going to happen with this X-Men franchise? Clearly, we know that Disney is buying it, and their full intention is to reboot. So my guess is they went back and reshot the entire film, and then Kinberg was probably like, okay, well, I'm not satisfied with this new ending that we spent $12 million on for reshoots, so I'm going to go ahead and insert my old scenes and make it even more of a mess. I can just see a scenario like that playing out, but I don't know.
Mikey, what do you think?
Yeah, these comments by Bryan Singer, I mean, with the whole Fox deal, everything's sort of just up in the air right now. We don't know what's going on, but yeah, these comments almost make me seem like he's out for lunch, because I know at least the audience thinks that this movie's done. Like after this one, it's over. Dark Phoenix is gonna be its last hoorah for the Fox X-Men films, and then Marvel's gonna take charge. So it makes me confused as an audience member, and makes me think they don't have everything together really.
Well, when is New Mutants scheduled for release?
Sometime mid next year, right?
Yeah, mid next year.
Well, the problem is that the Disney Fox deal is locking in sometime in January, February.
Yeah, they said that both of those are going to be Disney releases, but Fox films.
You know what this movie feels like? What's it called? Last Phoenix? Dark Phoenix. There we go.
Last Phoenix?
I know movie titles. I know what's going on. Dark Phoenix feels like Simon Kinberg's that one kid, like where the parents are about to leave the house and he's still trying to build his toys. Like, come on, we gotta go. It's like, no, I just gotta finish it. But it doesn't matter. I feel like that's what this movie is. Because he's not gonna, nothing's gonna produce after this unless they continue to do it, or they'll tie it into the MCU after that.
What are the odds of Marvel's gonna say, you know what, Simon, we'll give you one shot with our first X-Men movie? How about that?
I would not like that. No. I would not be that.
I'm
not a fan of that idea.
All right, guys. So I think it's time to move on to the Netflix side of Marvel. We have some really, really sad news. Just really kind of on the eve of Daredevil season 3 dropping, which was an incredible season. Too bad it looks like it's going to be the last season. Netflix officially canceled Daredevil, and as everyone already knows, they've already canceled Iron Fist and Luke Cage, and it looks like Punisher season 2, or any hopes of Punisher season 3 happening, is completely wiped out. Jessica Jones season 3 is currently filming, but will probably not go on, as it looks like Netflix is trying to kill the Marvel Netflix characters. I mean, not like kill them off, but just kill the shows.
Yeah.
It's pretty saddening.
Script for the season finale, just because the other ones aren't gonna be around anymore. We're not really gonna get into spoilers about Daredevil because Mikey hasn't seen it yet, but
appreciate it.
I love that ending of Daredevil. That one. Oh.
it was good. It all I'll say is it ends on a way where it can be the end of the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be. It could be.
Like when I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's nice, and I'm like, can't wait for season 4. But if you cut out the last 3 minutes, boom.
Yeah.
It's just
Perfect.
the end of
the Yeah. Now we also were talking before we started recording about how it also looks like too that Marvel can't use these characters, I think, for another 2 years after the Netflix contracts have ended or have been killed. So I'm thinking by that time, honestly, like the fan base is pretty upset by this news, and everyone's saying, well, Disney's starting their own streaming service. Can't they just move them over there? It looks like they can't due to the contracts, because Netflix had a really tight seal, apparently, on these contracts. Now, we do know that Charlie Cox does have a movie in his contract, but I'm not sure if that's for a Netflix movie or if that's just a movie through Marvel and Disney.
Yeah, it doesn't say, but I'm like, if there's anyone I would want them to use Charlie Cox from the Netflix series. I'm like,
all of them are gonna be recast though. Like it's all gonna be rebooted.
He's the only one.
And you have to think too, like they're actors, right? So they're looking for work. So 2 years from now, they're gonna have other jobs.
I mean, most actors do, but Charlie Cox is the one I would want to see most. It's not that I don't like the other actors; they're good. And they're good at their jobs and what they have to work with. But Charlie's been putting in that work.
I like Charlie Cox as Daredevil, but maybe next time we'll get someone who has their nose can fit inside their mask.
Yeah.
The
thing
he's a great Daredevil. That's not Charlie's fault.
Well,
that's not Charlie's fault.
Cox,
that's fault.
The Kingpin's been great. Like Vincent D'Onofrio, he was fantastic. I think that was one of the best casting in the entire MCU. So not seeing him return is going to be a real bummer.
Dude, this is just like this is a small critique about Daredevil, and to stay away from too many spoilers. But we still like never really get to see his true suit. We never get the Daredevil logo on his suit, and I feel like there was never a true payoff for Daredevil when it comes to him having the suit.
I honestly never think they would do it though. I feel like they'd try to be so grounded they would never give him the DD.
And I think that was the problem.
He's the double Ds.
That was the problem with the Netflix shows, though, is that they try to stay too grounded. Even Iron Fist was trying to stay grounded.
Yeah, they try to Nolanize it. They can't, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Feige's gonna be like, no, we're doing the real Defenders in the MCU.
Even Arrow had to cave into his suit at some point.
I feel like we always say that, but I feel like Marvel, because the MCU is so established at this point, they usually do like their own variation of what we know. Like they take what we know and then like tilt it to a side a little bit, like with Homecoming or with Iron Man 3, for example.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
I was wondering when they do reboot Daredevil, I wonder if they use his yellow suit at all.
Ooh,
that could be a good way to go about it.
The question is how you make that work, because that's yellow and red for that suit. Like in the comics, it's fine, but in real life, it's a hard thing to pull off and take seriously because it's like a mustard yellow and a crimson red. And it's ugly as hell.
I could see them pulling it off as like a first suit, like a prototype, maybe.
Yeah, it's a prototype suit, sure, but.
Yeah.
I think they would dull the yellow if they would do it. They'd make it dark red and dark yellow.
Yeah,
and Nick, if I'm not mistaken, isn't Punisher outside the original Netflix deal, so there is like a little bit more of a chance of him coming back?
Yeah, Punisher was made separately. It wasn't part of the original order, so yeah, he could get revived theoretically.
I don't see a point to it though, honestly.
The only thing I can see them doing is if they wanted to do season 3, maybe Barracuda. But we don't even know who the full villain. We don't know who the villain is for 2, do we? Or we do.
I'm waiting to get my. I signed the NDA. I'm waiting to get the screeners unlocked on my thing so I can watch season 2.
Yeah, so you'll know, but I'm doubtful that he'll show up. That's the only other like Punisher villain that I know. But we get season 2 in January.
Do we know if Deborah Ann Wolf is continuing? Is she coming back to the Punisher?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, she's actually setting up a YouTube channel.
For D&D.
Yeah, she's been she was on Critical Role, which is like a live D&D show through Geek and Sundry.
Oh, with Matt Mercer.
And
what was the other girl? Jane? No, what was her name? Anyways,
I don't know, but yeah, she's busy, man. She's doing her own thing. I really don't see her coming.
What about Foggy though? I feel bad for Foggy's actor because he didn't really have anything going on besides this.
Oh, did he?
He's gonna reboot Mighty Ducks.
he was the Mighty Ducks. Yeah, I mean that's the situation with the business. Not everything is guaranteed. Like it's one thing if you have like a Marvel movie, but television is different. Like the one who has the most lucrative career out of everybody in that cast was Rosario Dawson.
Oh, for sure.
She has like a good decade under her belt of just like roles. So
she's good. She's not gonna feel that.
Yeah, no, she's fine. She's doing absolutely okay. She still has rent residuals coming in. Like I'm sure she's okay.
I honestly feel like because all these actors were so good and so well received within their roles, I feel like they're going to be just fine going forward. Like, for example, Mike Coulter, he's been in a bunch of movies lately. And
he was in Girls Trip. Like, he's doing all right. Simone Missick and her husband, I think, were just in a movie together.
Mm-hmm. I hope we're going to lose that Misty Knight and Colleen and everybody, too.
Actually, Colleen's doing...
I like Colleen, too.
I think she's doing Umbrella Academy or something.
Is she really?
She's doing some other like nerd media show. I can't.
Yo, for real, I am so cheesed from the end of Iron Fist season 2.
You can spoil that for me.
He got his.
Why are you upset about it?
The Orson Randall guns.
Because it's set up for like.
Cheap bullets.
They did the gun fu.
Yeah, dude, gun kata. That's what we needed in this.
They set up so much, man, and then boom, canceled. It's like, what? No.
I think it's safe to say that we all are disappointed with the Netflix canceling the Marvel shows. I mean, but what are you gonna do? That's a business.
Well, I'm not like super disappointed because honestly, I'd rather see the characters in the larger MCU.
Oh, me too.
Especially Daredevil, just because he's such a great character to like cross over. Daredevil's had like a relationship with Black Widow in the comics too, and Spider-Man obviously. So
Vincent D'Onofrio wants to play Kingpin in a Spider-Man film too. So
I would fine with that. Do it for his third movie.
Yes.
6 contract. People forget that.
Well, what Nick said, I sort of share that same sentiment. I feel like, granted, I do value individual character stories because it helps the characters grow as a whole, but I feel like we've had enough time with each of these characters within their own series. Well, it is now time for us to see them within the context of everyone else and see how they play with the rest of the Marvel universe.
We've seen them at minimum 26 hours each.
Yeah,
like
26 hours each.
They could introduce Danny Rand in the MCU in like Shang-Chi 2 or something.
Actually, I'd be okay with that. Like, to their credit, all the actors that they cast for the various Defenders, they're solid at what they do. The ending of Luke Cage 2, though, is like that's a head scratcher.
It was a head scratcher.
Like, I got to the end, I'm like, excuse me? I guess
the two shows that took the most interesting directions for the finales are the first ones that get canceled.
Yeah. And Jessica just somehow survived. I'm still surprised she got a third season. I liked the second season, but Jessica Henwick's doing Godzilla vs. Kong, if anyone was curious.
I think that we can all agree that the Netflix Marvel shows ended on a really, really emotional note. But you guys, you know what else was emotional?
Stan Lee's passing. Oh, wait.
Did you say Avengers passing?
Avengers passing. Stan Lee's passing.
Stan Lee's Avengers. What?
Stan Lee's cameos passing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna hurt in about a year when Far From Home comes out.
Oh, I mean, it hurt the other night when I was watching Spider-Verse. But
it still hurts,
dude.
I've seen it
and
twice.
Deadpool.
It still hurts every time. It hurts.
Dude,
but we'll get to that. We'll get to Spider-Verse later.
I literally cried.
I got close.
Yeah, so, Stan Lee passing, man, that was it marks the end of an era, the three kings of comics have now passed, man.
Oh, four, because you got Schnepp.
Technically, yes, if you want to get the super sweaty.
He's the Duke. He's the
sweatiest.
Duke of nerds.
Yeah, he was the Duke, the sweatiest of all nerdom.
God.
Freaking R.I.P. Schnepp, Stan Lee. Ditko also passed this year too, and you know what's kind of like shocking is that Ditko didn't get as much recognition, not near as much recognition, which I get why, I understand the logic behind that, but not enough light was shed on Steve Ditko's life because he arguably did more than Stan Lee did throughout his career. Ditko did so much. He contributed so much to comics, and I'm not shitting on Stan Lee's legacy because Stan Lee's legacy is incredible, right? That man also achieved much in his life. I mean, Kirby too. They all lived full lives, and they were all doing what they loved for so long, and they inspired a generation, 2 generations really, of
several generations, honestly.
And they're going to continue inspiring fans for generations to come, even long after we're gone. I feel like that those characters that they created are going to live on, and they're eternal, honestly. So I just I am really saddened, really. But I think that with the passing of someone like that, there's potential for something really great to come in the future. I think that every generation breeds greatness, and so I'm not saying that it was time for Stan to go, but I mean, the man was.
He was 95.
He was 95, man. He had lived a full life.
Yeah, full life.
His wife Joan had actually died just the year before, and typically at that age, when your spouse dies, you're typically not far off as well.
Has it really only been a year since Joan passed? I feel like it's been longer than that.
No, she died in the summer of 2018, a month. It was a month before Comic-Con 2017.
God, 2018 has been the longest year on record.
It has been, man. It really has.
There were Olympics this year that happened.
There were?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, at the start of the year. Yeah, I know, right? But back to Stan. God. I don't know. What even when you guys texted me and told me that Stan died.
Yeah, Mikey, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I saw the headline and I saw Stan Lee trending and I was in the back of my head I'm like, oh no, please, I hope it's not what I think it might be. And then I clicked the hashtag and I saw the passing, and it's just one of those really sad days. I think the internet felt it. He's such an important figure in pop culture, and I'd say even in mainstream media in the world, that everyone sort of felt the weight of his passing. Like you said, he's inspired generations, and he's just such an iconic figure. So to lose someone like that was very sad.
Yeah. And that he was in such poor health, honestly, the last 2 years of his life that I would have rather seen him be at peace and be at rest than to carry on and just be in pain without his loved one, without his wife.
You could hear it in his voice when he spoke too. Like he was old.
He was tired, yeah.
Because there were so many things going on.
He was just so tired, man.
He was in Venom.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. But remember all those things about people on his team stealing money from him and people making accusations about
we talked
him.
about that.
That was his last year.
Yeah,
all within the past year or so.
I still hope that there will be justice for that.
Dude, remember when he got Me Too'd?
Yeah, I remember
that.
Yeah. That really wasn't that. That kind of fluttered out though. It didn't really.
Yeah, it did, because it's the dude was I think it was last year or something, or early this year. It was he's 94.
But you got to remember too, those same people that were accusing him were also under investigation for elder abuse as well.
Oh
God.
Yeah, Stan was great, man. He was an unsung pioneer of change in the world and for new possibilities to come. And Spider-Man alone has just affected the world to such a degree, making people realize that they can also be heroes. They can also wear the mask, and he's truly going to be someone who's going to be missed. And
I will say the exact same thing for Ditko. Ditko.
Yeah.
Died over the summer of this year, and up until that point he was still doing art. He was still drawing and painting all these years later after co-creating Spider-Man.
He was just really low key about it, wasn't he? He was really quiet.
I think he ran an art studio, didn't he, Nick?
Yeah, his address and everything. He could have gone out. I mean, I don't know if he would answer the door, but his studio's in New York, everything.
And the dude still answered fan mail.
He did, yeah, sometimes.
He was still answering. I mean, it wasn't consistent, but he would still write back to the fans. I mean...
But he would refuse to sign stuff, though, remember?
Yeah, he would. And what's funny, too, is that, Marvel Studios invited him to every single movie premiere, and he never showed up for a single one. They even offered him royalties, and he refused the royalties.
Wow, why was he so against it, you think?
I don't know, and I don't think we'll...
fame or something.
I don't think we will ever know, honestly.
Can you imagine him and Stan in a cameo in something? That would have been sick.
Is Stan Lee in Far From Home?
Yeah, that would have. If Steve and Stan were in Far From Home, that would break me.
And you know what the saddest thing is that they never really remended their relationship and their friendship with each other before each of them passed.
Oh, what? They were not talking?
They were not talking for years.
I don't think they were particularly close around the end of their respective
lives.
And that's not a disrespect to either of them. I think that's just what the nature of their relationship had turned to at that point.
They just had a falling off years ago, and they just never really got back and fixed it for each other. Which really sucks, but
they're great men. Their legacies will last forever. They're just impact. Even thinking about it now, it's just making me teary-eyed.
Well, you know whose legacy isn't going to last forever? Thanos is, because the Avengers are coming after him. So we got the official. We got. I'm tired and kind of sick, so lay off me. So we did get our first official drop for Avengers 4, which is now subtitled Endgame. Which I think a lot of people were calling out months and months and months ago. If I remember right.
Remember the last Avenger?
Yeah. You remember Infinite Avengers?
Or Avenge Us? They thought that was the title. I was like,
Avengers 4 ever.
Avengers Annihilation. We had a lot of things thrown in the hat for that.
Where did Annihilation come from
where did
exactly?
That one come from?
Is that about Eternity Quest or something? Was that one? Or?
Yeah. Well, according to rumors, it was going to be Infinity Gauntlet, but then
Zoe Saldana messed that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of went with Endgame. But what did everyone think of the trailer?
I
good.
really enjoyed it. I
Nice
thought
and vague.
I thought it captured the emotional toll of what the last movie had left us with. You know, we didn't need a lot of action. We didn't need a lot of spoilers or a lot of things to get us excited for the movie, because everyone who saw that movie is gonna go see the next one. I honestly don't even think we need another trailer, just because. Because this is just announcing that the movie's coming, and we see the tone and context. Granted, would I have liked to see Rocket in the trailer? Yeah, of course. But I'm gonna see him in the movie, so I'm not even tripping.
Oh, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, yeah.
I'm okay with not seeing her in the trailer. I feel like
So-
that would
Yeah,
be a spoiler.
I don't need to see it.
They're gonna have a real tricky time marketing the trailer, like the next trailer.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to be really careful, and I think they know this. And I think a lot of some of the anxiety that, or some of the things that are giving people anxiety about the trailers to come for the film, or well, and I guess the movie itself is how exactly are they going to do Captain Marvel, because she's getting her own solo film coming out in just a few months, and then just a few months after the solo film, we're getting Avengers 4.
It's a month later.
Oh, it's a month later. Oh God.
Captain
Okay,
Marvel
yeah.
is March, and Endgame is at the end of April.
So, and that's been long suspected, because, Kevin Feige has stated that she's going to be like one of the most powerful characters in the entire MCU. So everyone just kind of assumed that the key to the whole movie will be her. But if she's getting her own solo film where the key to the movie is her, and then flip-flop a month later and be like, okay, now she's in this big team-up movie and she's still the key, that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because I don't want like a movie of hers and then a sequel to her movie a month later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I don't want it to be like the Deus Ex Machina. It's like, oh, we couldn't defeat Thanos without Lady Sparklefist flying in and shooting him in the face.
and I think that's what most people are worried about. I'm not particularly worried about that. In fact, I think that most of the theories stand pretty strong when it comes to the Ant-Man theory. I think that the quantum realm is going to play a bigger role than what most people think. And I think honestly, Scott Lang and Hank Pym, well, he's currently dusted, but at least Scott Lang is probably going to hold some key part.
No, Shuri is dusted.
Well, we don't know
Not
exactly what
confirmed.
happened to Shuri.
They let some little 16-year-old girl die. That's so sad.
Let a 15-year-old boy die or 16-year-old boy die.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but
Shuri's not confirmed.
he wasn't a black African though.
True.
A black African.
Well, he said this is no place to die. Then he died.
As opposed to all those Mexican Africans.
Exactly.
Those Mexican African.
Or the white South Africans.
We don't talk about them.
Oh, Charlie
So,
said.
so Michael, what are your thoughts on the Endgame trailer?
I don't think they could have done a better job. I thought it was a perfect trailer, in my opinion. If they had even like the way when they started off with Tony Stark just floating in space, just sort of talking to his leftover nano suit and the helmet, I thought that was perfect. You could have gave me that for the whole trailer, and I would have been cool with that.
You can give me that for the whole movie, and I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, exactly.
True. He just never
It
gets
was
home.
great.
Thanos just won.
It's like
So-
Castaway in space with Tony Stark. I'm so down for that.
No, totally. So I thought that was a great little, talk to himself, reminding us that like he is in a really bad situation. Like just shows how dire the movie is for all of our characters, and literally the universe is at stake, the other half. To the way that they execute the rest of it, showing Ronin, to having Thanos just chilling on a farm. When you work that hard, ladies and gentlemen, you have to have some chill time. You got to relax a bit, right?
Put
He
your
got his
scarecrow
weed.
up.
Like, what do you think he's been doing this whole time? Just like planting flowers and growing corn?
Yeah, if I
yeah.
work that hard, I'm chilling, bro. I'm doing
No,
five
unironically, yes.
minutes.
He's probably just hanging out.
I'm gonna need a 5-minute scene of Thanos tending to his garden. I want to see him flowering some flowers. I want to see him digging some crops. I want to see him eating his fresh crops.
Exactly.
It
So
all-
I
Just see
love that
him
we got
making
all of this.
bread from scratch. He just like grows wheat, tills it.
Like, do you think he got himself a girlfriend?
With
He
who?
made himself a girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm like, with who?
I don't know.
I think Thanos is probably just enjoying his time there, but yeah, again, I think it was just a really well done trailer. Didn't show anything that we needed to see, just enough of to ride off the hype from the last movie. Nick, what do you think about it?
That was like one of the worst trailers I've seen all year.
It was It was to me. It was probably like just what it needed to be. Just really vague. Captain America crying. That's about it.
The question is, do you guys
Captain
think that they filmed fake scenes in that trailer?
Oh, dude, they
Oh.
had to have.
Maybe.
I
mean,
think how they cut it might have been a thing too.
I think, yeah, it's
misdirection
really
with Scott
deceptive.
Lang.
It's really deceptive. I think that the way that they're going to market this film, it's going to throw us for a loop.
I think it's
honestly.
beautiful that we can't trust the trailers for the Avengers movies because of what they did
Exactly.
last time. I think
But that's
so
smart
cool.
marketing.
It is smart marketing.
That's competency, unlike Sony. We'll get to them in a minute.
Unlike those movies that tell you the whole trailer, what the movie is.
I
Well,
know-
that is kind of like the Sony's reputation. Like, didn't they leak this? Well, not leak. Didn't they put literally the ending of Spider-Verse like?
They
the week it
showed
came
the
out?
final scene, which like it makes more sense in context, but it still got on my nerves. Like you'd only get it if you've seen the movie, but it was still a dick move because I'm like, dude, come on.
They never seem to learn their lessons. So I guess we'll just talk about Spider-Verse from now. It was a really
We'll
good
do
film,
not-
but
we'll do
when
not
it comes to
spoil it.
marketing, man, like Sony just doesn't know what they're doing. Like
Oh.
they do this for almost everything Spider-Man related. They show too much, right?
Yeah,
I mean-
Venom did it too.
You go back to the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and they showed you the first 10 minutes of the movie on YouTube, like before the film even dropped. And then like the marketing, oh my god, they had like over 30 TV spots.
Yep.
30 TV spots, dude. Like what are you thinking?
The marketing
that one
for
was-
Spider-Verse was okay up until like this past week where they dropped that last scene, and I'm like, why did you do that?
They just
Far
can't help
From Home
themselves.
trailer.
God, you speaking of Spider-Man though, you know what movie literally showed the entire thing? As I was waiting to watch Spider-Man, the movie theater showed the trailer for this movie called A Dog's Way Home, and it's
Okay,
Oh.
yes, you got that trailer too.
yeah,
Like,
it's,
show the
I-
whole movie about
it's
the dog?
literally the whole movie.
I got the trailer too, and my friend looked over at me after the trailer ended, and he's like, "Well, we don't have to go see it now."
Like, why would they do that? Literally from beginning to end, it's the entire film.
I said it to my sister. I'm like, well, we know how the movie ends. The dog makes it home.
And what's up with the stupid CGI bobcat that
Yeah.
like teams up with the real dog to help him?
No,
Yeah,
my
this
question
isn't
is, why
spoilers,
does
people.
the dog
This is
have
in the
to talk?
trailer.
Why do we
Dude,
need to know the dog?
isn't that a sequel though? The Dog's Way Home, so it's part of the Dog cinematic universe.
Well, yeah, because
The Doggyverse.
the dog's purpose, I think, is the same writer, like the books that they're based off of.
And it's actually a spin-off of Airbud.
These are all
The
his
true
children.
first cinematic universe, the Air Bud movie.
How many Airbud
Yeah.
films are there? They made a
There's
lot.
there's got to be over a dozen. Like I
So
swear, I remember
Like
Spider-Verse.
10 at least.
Oh man.
But spinning off
Dog-
of the dog, talking about
Yep.
Spider-Man and the
Back to
Spider-Verse.
Spider.
Nick, what did you think about Spider-Verse? I know you saw it earlier, but what are your thoughts on, I think, seeing it again?
Yeah, so I really liked the movie still. It was cool, like, seeing stuff they changed and, like, the finished version of the movie. And also, like, I don't know, just seeing all the characters, like, be utilized in one movie, but not feeling like they overshadow each other. Because I know I saw some complaints, people saying that there was too many spider characters. I was like,
No, there were just
that
there was
was
just
fine.
enough. Actually.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's definitely, if not my favorite Spider-Man, like up there.
Up there?
You know, it's funny. This is a spoiler, not really spoiler from the beginning of the movie. Has everyone seen it here?
Correct.
Yeah, we've all seen
Yeah.
it.
This isn't
Comment
this isn't
section.
really
If
a
you haven't
spoiler.
seen the movie,
you can listen. It's just
If we
Oh.
talk spoilers, we'll do it as a separate part. But just go ahead.
so there's in the beginning of the movie, the first time you see Miles, he's like singing a song to himself, and it's like a new song they added for the movie. But I hear that in the in the process of it, like people who went to test screenings, that song was actually Redbone.
yeah.
I think that's funny because Childish Gambino was actually the inspiration for Miles Morales. I think that would have been a cool nod.
Yeah. Then he played Miles Morales, and then he played Aaron Davis, which Donald's history with Miles Morales is one of the most intriguing things in comics.
It's so dope. It's so
Yeah, I don't know the reason for that. I don't know. Maybe they just wanted more original soundtrack. Maybe it was like legal situations. I'm honestly
I
not
know.
sure.
Donald said no.
It's weird. Sunflower is actually a pretty good song, despite the fact that I can't stand Sway Lee singing, and I don't really like Post Malone.
You know what's funny?
It-
I didn't like the song before the movie came out, but then
Yeah.
seeing it in context, I'm like, I actually like this song. I dig it.
I think it fit really well with the scene.
The
Honestly.
the music for the movie is really good. The only thing that it's weird to me because they got XXX Tentacion, Juice World, and Ski Mask the Slump God, all to just not be themselves on an album, and it worked. It was just weird to me.
Juice World actually kind of surprised me that he was in the film. I was like, whoa.
No, the one that surprised me was Lil Wayne and having X. I'm like, how do they keep pulling these bars out of a dead man? Huh?
Yeah.
They're just milking him for his bars.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about the actual movie?
Yeah, well,
No.
speaking of the soundtrack, I thought it was surprisingly good as well, fit well within the context of the film. But speaking about Spider-Verse, I was really surprised how much I like this movie.
Mhm.
I think, the Lords, the Millers, whatever, they did a
Miller
fantastic
Lords.
job. Yeah, they did a fantastic job directing this thing. There was a lot of scenes and shots that I was really surprised by. Coupled with the animation style, it's like Telltale, the Telltale graphics, but more fluid. That's what came to my mind.
So I'm not gonna lie, like during like the first maybe 10 minutes of the film, the animation style was throwing me off a little bit, and it took me a good several minutes to really get into it.
Your eyes do have to adjust. I think that's
Well,
something that
my
we-
eyes. Well, it kind of started giving me a headache because of like it almost had like a 3D blur
3D.
effect to it.
Dude,
Yeah.
the title
Yeah.
card was messing me up.
It
Did
was.
you see
It
it
was
in 2D or
wrong.
3D?
I saw it in
It's
2D.
in 2D, but it has like
That's why. I think there's an issue with the 2D to 3D conversion. I heard a couple complaints about that.
I saw it in 3D. I really enjoyed it.
I saw it in 2D, but it didn't bother me. But I understand what people are talking about because it like vibes other colors behind it, like a 3D effect.
Did they not market the film to be like best seen in 3D?
I feel like you can kind of tell by the way.
I just kind of got the assumption I would probably want to watch this in 3D.
Now
when
I
saw
feel
it.
like I need to go back and watch it in 3D just so I can like do a final analysis on it, because I think that the animation itself was beautiful, but I think that there was a lot of scenes where it's like, if you're not careful, like that can really give you a headache if you stare at it too long.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? It's like if they mixed like one of those Leica movies and like a Wes Anderson animated movie and like kind of matched it together, mixed with like some Pixar and some Telltale.
I don't know. This is the
That's
most
like-
beautiful movie I've seen all year in terms of like just colors and creativity. It's gorgeous.
Well, the
Oh,
colors
definitely.
were beautiful, but I feel like the animation itself could have used like a little more polishing.
It was really selective because we all saw the parts where it would occasionally drop frame rates when a character would walk, but then it would pick up again, like either they're running or a fight scene or something. Like that was definitely a stylistic choice, but it was weird. It's a unique.
Like scenes of the city looked beautiful, like they almost looked photorealistic, and then it would go from that to like an action scene where it almost looked like it was 16-bit, and I'm like, oh, this is really like like the tone shifted almost like in the scenery.
Yeah, I don't think I had many complaints for the visuals apart from I think the last act towards that big fight scene. I think that it got a little too much for me. Like I couldn't really see what was going on. That just for me personally. But I, like you said, I thought a lot of the nighttime sequences were exceptional. Like they looked insane. Or when whenever they were inside like when they were in like a dark warehouse or like a small room, it looked insane to me.
I thought the visual cues for what we traditionally know Spider-Man to be and the way they flipped it on its head was really interesting. Like with the way, like obviously it's a Spider-Man movie, we know there's wall crawling in it. So the way that they handled the wall crawling or what spider characters look like going up walls was really interesting to me.
Nick,
I would have
think?
never thought of that.
What do you think? About the,
I
like,
fell
the visual?
asleep.
Oh, God.
It's good.
Nick opinions.
It's good.
Do we want to get into spoilers a little
We
bit
need
since
Piggy.
it comes out this weekend? And this show will be coming out probably a while after the.
Yeah, sure. Why don't we talk about a bit about the story, what we thought about the characters?
Dude, Prowler though.
Prowler was so well. He sounded like Common, but it was Mahershala Ali.
Dude,
Yeah.
He sounded
that
looks like Common.
music. Dude, the scene where Miles was in his apartment and he came in like that wong that music, dude. I was like, oh my
Dude,
god,
Prowler's
he's so
death.
menacing.
It makes you cry.
I know.
Yeah.
It was sad. It was
This is
really
what-
sad, but
serious
oh my god, he was such a good villain.
Man,
I just want to say for Miles Morales, Watching him on screen, it was a really great thing for me because I really identify with the character being like any a younger black guy. It was great to see him on screen. Also show that Puerto Rican representation because I remember like the original series they didn't really show that side of him as much because growing up he's biracial, so like it is when you see him in those earlier scenes with just him and his parents and his mom's talking Spanish, and then he's talking back there. I just love those smaller elements that they decided to throw in and keep it authentic and how it really would be probably in his life growing up. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, dude, I thought that was beautiful. Like I thought, like I've read Miles since like close to when he came out, and I feel like they not only got the character in his world right, but they added on to him, like all the stuff with him being like an artist and him being a skateboarder and then him listening to music. I'm like, that's all the stuff that's not in the comic, but
they gave him a character was the thing. That's what makes it great. Brian Michael Bendis created Miles, but he's also the worst writer that Miles has ever had. It's a weird thing.
And I know Brian Michael Bendis served as a executive producer, right? Didn't he help like co-write some of the film? Or
he had a cameo in the film. You guys didn't see it?
Did he really?
No, I think
his name was
on the cell phone. He said,
"Yeah, his and
Bendis.
Sarah Pacelli's were right between his."
Easter egg. Sorry, Easter egg.
There are a lot of Easter eggs to the like all the creators reference.
I'd be curious to hear what Brian Michael Bendis thinks of the movie.
I'm pretty sure he might have liked it.
He's not going to say anything bad about it.
Or he's cheesed because they did a really good job, and he's like, "Oh damn, I wish I helped with that a little bit more."
Well, and Saladin Ahmed just did his new #1, and that book is good. I'm like, Brian, what the hell? Why can't you write your own character? You made him, and you can't do him right.
Yo, is he still making that Kitty Pryde movie or what?
I mean, he's over at DC now, so I don't see that happening.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think about Miles' character and how they handled his origin this time around?
It was pretty well done. I mean, the only thing I think we didn't really get a payoff was like his original suit from the comics. Like it was close enough, but it wasn't quite the Miles Morales black suit, you know.
Well, the way they did it though, in context, it makes sense with his character because he's artistic. So he's like, I'm gonna take Spider-Man but make it my own. Which is
I think it works with the themes and like what they.
It works with the theme, but like I don't want that suit to be permanent.
Yeah, like he needs his real suit in the second.
He does. Like the suit works in context for the movie and the character, but I do prefer his comic suit.
What do you guys think about Aunt May being just like so intertwined into Spider-Man's life?
They could do an Aunt May spinoff film.
Oh, dude, yeah, man.
Hey, let's not get crazy and bring up Aunt Spy May from
Sally.
I actually love that part of the movie. I thought it was really great how they took a lot of these, like, like Spider-Man cliches and just kind of threw them out the window. We got to see older Peter Parker, which was great. See him in his prime, and then we got to see an even older Peter Parker who is down and out. Dude. This like all the suits from like the
Parker was
game.
Good.
Are we going to talk about how Peter Parker was basically Ben Reilly, but more interesting? Because they made him blonde
one?
with the original one who was blonde with blue eyes. I'm like, oh, it's Ben.
Hey, Ben.
Voiced by Chris Pine.
Yeah, we're talking spoilers.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned it before, but if you're this far,
what do you guys think about Kingpin's motivation though? Was it good or like he made it more?
It parallels Miles.
I liked it.
People got that.
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. It parallels Miles because Miles is. So I realized that the guiding motivator for Peter Parker's responsibility, Miles in this movie, has to do with protecting his family. Like his friends, sure, but his family is his kind of motivator. And you see the relationship between his dad and his uncle and his mom. Kingpin has the same motivation, but it's kind of flipped on the other side.
And
I feel like Miles was about finding himself and like finding his own voice.
Didn't Kingpin try something similar to that in the comics a few years ago, or was it another character? Some villain tried to access the multiverse so they could bring back their dead loved ones, and I don't remember if it was Kingpin or who it was.
It wasn't Kingpin. It was Miles. It was in Spider-Man 2, right?
It was a villain.
It was a villain.
Mysterio started off in Spider-Man, the original series.
Yeah,
no, you're talking about Spider-Man. You're talking about. Yeah, you're talking about 616 Miles. Did you read Spider-Man 2?
I know what you're talking about. I didn't read it, but I do remember.
I need to look that up, man, because that's gonna bug me. Because some villain a few years ago tried to do that in the comics. They were.
I think it's dude. I think it's.
I don't know if it was like a Hadron Collider or something. They tried to use something to access the multiverse so they could bring back their dead loved ones.
It feels familiar, like X-Men or something like that. I can't remember.
So they really did pull a lot of inspiration from the comics, but for people who haven't seen the film yet and that are still listening to the spoilers, like this wasn't Spider-Verse the comic series. Like this had
Thank
nothing,
God.
yeah, this had
Did you
nothing
want
to
see
do.
the Inheritors?
I thought it added elements from Spider-Man, like the original run with 616
it
and
definitely
Ultimate Peter.
It did, especially going to Aunt May's house and everything.
Yeah.
Wait, Aaron, wasn't the Aunt May scene longer though when we saw it, or?
Oh, was it?
Because I remember like when Peter B. Parker meets that Aunt May, I thought it was a longer scene.
That was a beautiful scene, though.
That was a great scene. I got a little choked up. I was like, oh, the feels. Here we go.
Yeah.
I'll say this: the only thing that the Spider-Man and Spider-Verse comics kind of expounded on a little bit more was Peter seeing Gwen and Peter seeing Aunt May. They should have like freaked the hell out at that, because like especially Gwen seeing Peter, because her Peter died because of her, and Peter seeing Gwen because Snapneck.
Yeah, she should have had an emotional reaction to seeing Peter.
Yeah, and Aunt May seeing Peter, other than saying it's like, oh, you got thicker, and I'm like, no, that would freak me the hell out if my nephew died, and then a couple days later, here he comes older with a different like hair color.
Isn't Noir technically Peter too?
Yeah, Noir's a Peter too, but he's Nicolas Cage.
Ham.
And he's Peter Porker.
It's Peter Porker. Yeah.
I would say that the Noir Spider-Man was probably my second favorite Elseworld. But Peter B. Parker was great.
Man, because that's real. Peter B. Parker's real. Like that, Spider-Man's life could easily go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said I've had a rough life or something. What did he say? He said I am tired.
Yeah, like he was just sick of being Spider-Man, and dude, like I really related to him, like where he was sitting in that apartment by himself, like getting fat, eating pizza, like just being sad. Like it was like, man, like right in the feels, bro.
Hashtag relatable
problems.
It was so relatable. Like he was absolutely great, and I feel like the Spider-Man, the blonde Spider-Man from Miles's universe, he was he was your very average Spider-Man, right? Just like the really heroic type who never really got tired of it, but
he was only for 10 years.
Because he was 26.
I'm not gonna lie,
26.
dude. For like a quote unquote kids film, dude, like I did not expect. Like I thought that he was gonna die, but Kingpin just crushed him to death.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't think he was gonna die right there too, and then I
thought
forgot
he was
for a
gonna
second
die
that it was
from
the
the
Ultimate
wounds.
Universe.
I did not think that Kingpin was just gonna flat out murder him. I was like, oh my god.
But they
this is
confirmed
sick.
that Miles' universe is 1610 in the movie too.
Oh,
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
On the screen.
Yeah,
'cause
dude,
they showed,
I thought that was pretty obvious. After he died, I'm like, okay, this is totally the Ultimate Universe.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it shows it because when they
No,
activate the
screen.
collider, it shows the universes, and you see 616, 65, and the other ones.
That doesn't make any sense though, because like the actual 1610, like that Miles is in the 616 currently.
You can throw an asterisk on it.
That doesn't, yeah.
No, they're not doing that.
616A or some shit like that, or 1610B or something like that.
Also, it was
Right.
cool that this movie redesigned some of the other villains. Like they did an original version of Doc Ock and Scorpion.
Yeah.
Dude, Doc Ock was
Yeah.
so sick.
I was so
really
surprised by
liked
that,
it.
and I absolutely loved how they did that gender bend there.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
expect that one when she's like Olivia Octavius. I'm like, oh, I hit the big nut.
Big
Yeah.
night.
And the way that this movie did things like that and change it up and just not give you the norm, what you'd expect from a Spider-Man movie, along with all this dopeness, which was Miles' story, just made this movie even more exceptional to me.
I
And
love
I didn't expect any of that, any of this going into it as
Shout
well.
outs to my boy Gerard Way for getting Penny Parker in this movie. Like, that's a really interesting
Dude, the
character.
Penny feels when her robot died.
Yeah.
People
I
felt
don't
bad for the
think
robot. I'm
much
like,
of
as
that
long
to
as the spider's alive, she's okay.
So wait, Gerard Way created Penny Parker?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
My man,
I-
MCR. Rep that My
He
Chemical
did,
Romance evil.
Oh wow. I didn't
he
know that.
wrote going back to the original Spider-Verse comics, there was a 5-issue mini, like a prelude series, right,
That's
that
where
introduced
Spider came from.
that, yeah, which those comics are really, really expensive right now on the market, but
Oh, I'm sure.
I
Um,
think I have Penny's issue somewhere.
yeah, so Gerard Way wrote an issue that introduced that character, and that was a part of the 5-part miniseries that led into the main Spider-Verse comic arc. They were really good issues. I have
were
all
good.
5 issues.
Yeah, I think I have Spider-Gwen's and Penny's. I do remember reading the other ones because one was a horror movie, which was
Yeah.
they were all really good.
Yeah, they were just like,
What?
and like when they were made too, they were made to just be like a one-off
Yeah.
thing, like, you know. And then Spider-Gwen was so popular, they made her own series.
Which, honestly, of them, unpopular opinion, Penny deserves it way more because between the two of them, she's the more interesting character. I'm glad that Gwen has a character now, but like Penny piloting essentially Spider Evangelion, that's just the sickest shit.
But
Rather than
I would
palette
like to-
swap Peter Parker in a rock band, give me like Spider Gellion any day, dude. That's sick.
I'd love to see spin-offs for all of them. That was the beautiful thing about this movie because they made them all so compelling with the little tidbits we got of them. They're like, I would love to see all of their universes.
So
Yeah.
I feel like, honestly, Kingpin was a really unique choice, but they could have easily done Morlun, which was the main villain in the actual Spider-Verse
I feel like
comic
they'll
book.
do him in a sequel because
Well, they could have.
We got the teaser at the end.
So
Speaking
so
of
this
sequel,
being
though.
titled Spider-Verse kind of leads you to think that the movie is more grand and more cosmic, but it's really not. It's more self-contained, which I'm fine with. But they could have easily have done the same movie, self-contained, good story, but swap the villain from Kingpin to Morlun, and it
No,
would have been
Morbius.
just as good.
I liked Kingpin as the villain because even
Yeah.
though
Yeah.
all the stuff with Vanessa and
Oh,
his
yeah.
son, I feel like the Daredevil show kind of helped my sympathy with him. I was like, ooh, Vanessa, I know how
And
much
that's
that
a
girl
great
means
point,
to you,
Aaron.
bro.
It's a great point because I think the audience, like this show, I mean, the movie is pretty out there, although they do a lot of exposition in a unique way that helps audiences like understand what's going on, so it's not like overwhelming and you're confused. I think though having Kingpin as a villain gives a little bit of familiarity for the audience members, and like you said, like with Daredevil, they can really like, oh, okay, I know this guy, I've seen him around, like I'm familiar with that character. I don't know if everyone knows who Morlun is, even if they threw it on screen.
I feel
Who's
like-
Morlun? He has like
I
a
feel like
sleeping
doing
character.
don't know who
Morlun for
Prowler
a
was,
kids
though.
movie as the first movie in what I think they want to be a franchise is kind of hard because
Yeah.
he has to kill somebody to show that he's a threat. But you can't just
Kingpin-
kill the one Peter Parker.
Yeah,
I
but
feel
Kingpin straight out murdered two people. He literally like killed Peter Parker with his fist and then shot Aaron Davis.
Bro, when he
I
brought
think-
out that
I think
gun,
it's
I was
easier
like,
to do
whoa.
with Kingpin than it would be for Morlun because he really only eats totems.
Yeah, I will say though, I think this movie's gonna open up the door for a little bit more like wonkier storytelling now. I feel like even from Sony too, I feel like they have more confidence now, and I think
Now
Marvel might be like, oh
Morbius will
shit.
be more.
If they
know what I would
let their writing and directing team do what they're supposed to do, which this really makes me realize Solo was such a massive shit show.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's the Iron
because-
Man 2 of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, because I'm like, so wait, what happened to the Lord and Miller cut? Because if this movie is this good and they were left to their own devices, that means that movie could have been amazing. Also, am I the only one who realizes that Peter in this movie had the exact same arc as Luke in The Last Jedi, but it's like done so much better?
Oh, I see the similarity.
Like if you stop and think about it, I'm like, oh shit, he has the same arc, but it's
You know
done
what-
a lot better. I
you
don't
know
know
what
if
I
they
would
did that
love?
on purpose.
You know what I would love to see in the sequel?
What would you
If we can get Tom Holland Spider-Man sometime in the Spider-Verse, and then him interacting with Miles, because he's such a unique Spider-Man to the universe, because he has that, the Stark suit, and then just them bouncing off one another, I think would be really cool.
Which Iron Spider was in this movie, so I think there's an implication that Tony Stark is, he may or may not exist in that universe. Because Iron Spider was one of the suits in Peter's
Wait,
Spider.
did you say? Did you see that Lord and Miller said that originally the movie was going to end with a Doctor Strange cameo?
What?
Yeah, I
They don't have the
thought
rights to that.
I thought honestly
don't have
that,
the-
that Sony was going to try to shove a little more world building into the film, like other Marvel
Would
characters.
they be able to? I don't think they could.
Yeah, they'd have to
I
get
think
permission or
Plenty
whatever.
full. This movie's risky as hell too. Like everything it did right. Do not
Doctor-
push beyond.
Doctor Strange would have made sense given the context of the plot of the film.
I like
Because I
who
know
they
that the
found
directors
for-
said that they wanted to do a Doctor Strange movie next if they could.
And to be
Tony
honest
Miguel
with you,
looks better,
you
though,
guys
I
remember the
think.
scene where the collider was opening up the multiverse? It honestly looked like something that would have got the attention of Madam Web.
Oh.
Can we get her back?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of I was kind of halfway expecting her to show up and step in at some point and be like, like you guys aren't supposed to be in this universe because she's kind of like the cosmic weaver, right? So
They might do
Yeah.
a shattered. If they do the next one, if they bring Morlun in and do like a Shattered Dimensions type movie where they have to save the other universes and team up, that'd be a cool way to go.
That would be dope. I
I
mean,
can see them
after
doing
credit
that.
scene though.
Because
Like-
Miguel now has that transporter that can send him to to different dimensions, and that's how we got one of the greatest end scenes of all time.
So on Rotten Tomatoes, it's currently sitting at a 97%, which is really, really damn good. But like the first review is from Salon.com, and it is a negative review, and it says that it is more of an experiment than an actual film.
Sounds like an asshole to me.
Sounds like someone who wasn't listening to the story.
Oh no! Did you see what the review said? Or
review.
The guy who broke the 100 and took it to 99, some asshole named Roger, who was complaining about like the visuals and stuff. It's like, oh, that means you didn't get it.
Well,
Yeah,
since we're
you
talking
weren't
about critiques,
talking
do you guys
about
have
that.
any,
What about,
any negatives or
the-
last comments?
2099
Any
scene.
negatives?
Oh wait, Nick, then Michael. Nick, what were you saying?
Oh, we didn't talk about the cameo at the end with Miguel.
I mentioned it, but
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Oscar Isaac was the voice of Miguel. I was like, whoa.
ooh, I love it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I love
just
it
found that
even more
out.
now. That scene was amazing.
Oh, Chris Pine is Ultimate Peter though.
All the
Yeah.
casting, all that. Can we talk about before we go to Michael? The voice acting was amazing here.
Incredible.
Whoever that-
Uncle Aaron was great, dude.
Whoever did the voice direction did a fantastic job. It was really good.
Yes.
Michael, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Just like I guess last comments and negatives on the film, if you had any.
I felt that I would have liked to have seen a scene between, or at least a phone call between Miles's dad and Uncle Aaron, just to give them, just to establish what their relationship is at the moment, because I feel like that would have added more gravity to when he sees his brother on the ground.
You know what? I agree with you there because I remember from the original series there was a lot more animosity between them. And there was a little bit more back and forth between Miles going to his dad and his dad talking to Uncle Aaron, and then them sort of beefing with each other and like, don't talk to my son anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gwen.
Him and his dad never really had like a fight in the movie.
All right,
Yeah,
guys.
I would have liked a little more tension there, but
Yeah.
So what's everyone's final thoughts as we wrap this up?
Go see it. It's the best Spider-Man movie.
Dude, what
And-
if it doesn't make more than Venom or as much?
I may burn Sony to the ground, and I like that.
It deserves it. It deserves it more because it's one of the best movies of the year. Not just animated, not just comic book, just best movie of the year.
Aaron,
Yeah.
you're right, and you should say it. You should keep saying
And
it.
I will, and I'll say it to the
Because
mountaintops.
you're right. This
I'm
this
gonna
movie
yell it
could
to
win
old
an
ladies in
Oscar
the park.
for animation at minimum.
I think that it will win an Oscar for something.
It needs to,
something.
dude. It really
It
does.
deserves it. Like shout outs to everybody that worked on this. Even
Probably has one of the best soundtracks of the year too.
it's
Yeah,
competing
for
with Black
for
Panther. They're both really good soundtracks.
Did you guys know Jaden Smith had a song in this movie?
Yes,
he has
I
like the
did.
very last song in the credits, right?
I didn't realize it was him.
You-
I was like, oh
You
snap!
know how good your movie has to be to make Jaden Smith rap well?
And
That's hard.
and it's like a Spider-Man song too. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
like
snap!
that's hard to bring the talent.
It's like
out
the
of Jaden
Eminem
Smith.
song. Like it's around spiders.
Oh,
Oh,
also
gosh.
the credits. I love they put Spider-Man's Christmas song in the credits. I thought it was so funny.
I like that
Yeah,
they put the desk meme in there too. There's a couple memes in this movie. There.
Yeah.
Final thoughts though, I would say I thought this movie was a treat. They did justice to Miles' origin and also establishing this larger universe of the Spider-Verse. Solid story, amazing visuals. You know, I didn't have many complaints, just like one or two nitpicks. I thought the ending was a little too much with the visuals, and I thought they crammed in a little bit towards the end. But I mean, those are very minor nitpicks. I thought this was a great story, and I'm looking forward to what they're going to bring next time. And hopefully they have a solo Miles movie now that they're confident with his character. They know audiences love him. I would love to have a more completely focused Miles story, and you can do the Spider-Verse on its own.
I want an MCU Miles though. Because he's confirmed to exist in the MCU. So
Give it a couple years. They
yeah.
might swap him out for Pete once that 6-movie contract is up. So
Oh,
I had
God.
two questions leaving the movie. One, I may have forgot. What happened to Green Goblin?
I
I think he got knocked out. I think that was
Okay,
that.
so he's still around somewhere.
Yeah, he's still alive as far as I know. But all I know is that he-
And two, how did Miles' dad get into the building, and why was he like the only one there when like the world was tripping out? And how did he get out of it?
I mean, I guess the walls might have disappeared or something. Dimensions were collapsing on each other. So
The
was
story required it. I don't know. Man.
But
Yeah.
was he in? Was he in there? Like, did they show him going to like
I
the
think
building?
he was at the top No, he got called in, I think.
Okay.
He got called in to investigate, if I remember correctly, but I don't know. It didn't show how he got into the building. It just showed that he was there.
Yeah,
which
I think
I'm
it's
like, it's not
funny.
impossible, but it is strange.
I love he's the only cop in New York. I think that's so
Yeah.
funny.
Did y'all catch
also-
that they made it PDNY instead of NYPD? I thought that was a nice tiny
I didn't
touch
see that.
to make it. Yeah, they shout it when he's at the gravesite, and then you can see it on their clothes. So it's
Also,
like,
Sony, if you're gonna do the sequel, throw Venom in there. Why not?
If it's good for the story.
We
it's
can,
good for
we
the
can keep
story.
him out for a little bit.
I want to see that storyline.
All right, guys. I think with all of that, we're going to bring this episode to a close as I have to get to work.
Yeah.
So this has been
Yeah.
a very special Marvelite episode.
The Marvel Geek.
Thanks everyone for sticking around this long and listening to us ramble about nonsense. We all really, really appreciate it, and there will definitely be more in the near future to come. Thank you guys for joining this podcast today.
Yeah, where can we find everybody on social medias?
You guys can find me on Twitter at QuantumXParadox.
Will?
You can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Will the Greatest, where I actually upload videos now. Also, go see Aquaman. It's actually good.
Michael?
Yeah, y'all can find me over at Failwell34 on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Comment, like, subscribe. Appreciate you.
Aaron, where can we find you at?
You can find me giving out samples at Costco. You can also find me flipping signs on the corner of your local neighborhood. But no, really though, you could actually find me on Instagram at the real Aaron Alexander, and I'll be there.
Nick, where can people find you at?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at who's_Nick.
And that is a wrap for this episode. Thanks for listening.
Happy holidays and Happy New Year.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yeet.
Happy Chris Mahana Kwanzaa.